So, I wanted to make this one earlier. I was at work. It's been 16, 17 hours. Let's do a really long dive just as fast as I can with as much accuracy as I can. I want to cover this shooting in the most thorough way I can cover it and explain what I see. Because most of you are only going to get the left side or the right side, and a number of people are going to go, we need gun control, and walk away from the situation. Now, I want to express this thoroughly, and I want you on the gun hating left to take a couple minutes and try to hear me out. And I want the people on the 2A defending God and guns and Bible belt loving right to calm down for a second, breathe, and hear me out as well. Because something needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed right now. And it needs to be addressed before things get stupid. Okay. So let's go right on down the list. First, there was a shooting. Where was the shooting, and who was the shooter? Okay. So, I'm going to quote ABC News because not that I trust them, but I have a lot of tabs open, and I am going to go down these lists, and I'm going to give you the sources as I do so. The shooting was at the Covenant School in Nashville, Tennessee. That seems to be fact. Can't argue with that. The shooter was identified by police as 28-year-old Audrey Hale, who law enforcement said once attended the school. A website that appears to be associated with Hale indicates that Hale was a Nashville-based graphic designer and illustrator who created logos and brandings to help tell a company's story and bring a whimsical, lighthearted feel. I'm not going to criticize anyone's small company or small business, so I'm going to stay out of that. But just going to go ahead and say it. Graphic designer. At very first glance, immediately hearing that the person is into graphic design and art, I immediately think this is a leftist because everyone now is obsessed with drawing a fursona or a persona or an anime person or a cartoon character, and we're getting this feel already. A graphic designer, illustrator. I mean, I make decals. I'm not out of the woods here, but they have an actual business. Okay, well, let's keep going and see if this person is a lefty or not, and let's just see how much further we go down the rabbit hole. Quoting ABC News now. A website that appears to be associated with Hale, okay, is the graphic designers. A policeman spokesperson told ABC News that Hale was assigned female at birth and pointed to a social media account linked to Hale that included the use of pronouns he, him. Okay, so it's a transgender. That perfectly explains the art. Okay. Police said that Hale had 7 legally purchased guns. I have questions, but we're going to come back to that. 3 of which were used the day of the shooting. Officials said that Hale was being treated for an unspecified emotional disorder. Okay. They said Hale's parents believed the suspect only had 1 gun and sold it. Okay. According to police, Hale's alleged victims appeared to be randomly selected, and the school and church building itself were the targets. Investigators said she had several writings about other locations and a map of Covenant School with drawings and potential entry points. In a brief phone interview with ABC News on the day of the shooting, Hale's mother, Norma Hale, said it is very, very difficult right now for the family before asking for privacy. I think I lost my daughter today, she said. A neighbor of the family told ABC News that Audrey Hale, lived at the family's home with Hale's parents, who the neighbor described was very nice and very religious. Well, if she was going with he, him pronouns, and the parents are very religious and calling her a daughter, so I feel like there was probably some resentment. Not my business, but we're going to keep going down this rabbit hole. A former middle school classmate, who I don't know how old they are, so I'm going to leave their name out of this, you can read it yourself, told ABC News Hale would vent on social media, posting a lot about depression. Well, Hale graduated from the College of Art and Design in 2022. While at our school, she was a talented artist and good student. Van Tadoost said of Hale, our thoughts and prayers go out to her family, to the victims and their families, and to our city. So, she is a normal person. She looks like she also worked part-time as a grocery shopper with the food delivery service Shipped, and mentions a past employment as a cat sitter. Little things, little things. In middle school, she played basketball. Okay. It kind of starts to end there. It's more things about her that makes her human and less bad person. And right now there's 6 people dead. So I'm not too worried about the human part, but I want to give you the mindset of me looking into this for the first time. And as I'm scrolling through this information they're giving me, it sounds like she's a liberal. She's struggling with transgenderism. She has depression because 85 to 90% of transgender people claim, admit, or proclaim, or suggest, or show signs of depression, bouts of depression, struggling with depression, struggling with anxiety, struggling with stress, struggling with other alternative disorders as well. Yes, that is a fact that can be Googled, and if at some point later in this talk I feel the need to express that with a fact-proven website, I will. But for the moment, I'm seeing a troubled teen who grew up into the body that she had, not accepting it. She's angry, she's upset, she's channeling it to art, and she just snaps. But that's not the true story here. She didn't just snap. Her parents are super religious, and she's trying to be a he, which is boom, bomb. Um, no one, no one is supposed to support you more than your parents, and I definitely know what it's like not to have your parents' support. So, she had had these issues for a long time. And with those issues, she was depressed, She was mad, she was angry, and she had planned this bad deed. So, before I do much more, let me go to another tab before I get started on a topic I'm not prepared yet to talk about. Don't ever work in fiberglass, kids. Fiberglass. Now, ABC News wrote another article. Nightmare. 6 killed in calculated mass shooting at Nashville school. 1 second. The heck is that in my drink? So it's just another news article, but it's by the exact same newspaper, and it's telling the exact same story all over again. All over again. Okay, it's gone. It's gone. This news article is talking about a calculated mass shooting at Nashville school. So this article is not showing her any humanity. A shooter armed with 2 assault-style rifles and a handgun killed 3 students and 3 staff members in a Christian school in Tennessee. The suspect, Audrey Hale, 28, of Nashville, had a detailed map of Covenant School, a school for students in preschool through 6th grade, and allegedly shot through the door to gain entry to the school. I am not going to mention the children's names, because I don't know that I have the right to use their names, even though they have passed away. And feel free to pull up the story at abcnews.com. But they're children, and you don't mess with children, so I'm not going to bring their names into this. I'm not politicizing their deaths. But 3 children died, along with 3 adults. Now, it says the suspect was shot and killed by authorities in a lobby area on the 2nd floor of the school roughly 14 minutes after a 911 call was placed. If you think about it, it took them 14 minutes to get there. For the people in that situation, that felt like an hour. People were ready to make mistakes. People were ready to make accidents. People had already died. 6 people had already died in 14 minutes. And keep in mind, there were police officers at the last shooting that just stood there. Nashville Police John Drake said the suspect was female, identified as transgender, but didn't immediately provide more details. Police spokesperson later said that the shooter was assigned female at birth, but pointed to social media accounts suggesting the use of he, him. Okay. 28, she drove a Honda Fit to the school campus. Detectives searched it and found additional material. No one who was shot survived. He said he was literally moved to tears to see the young students as they were ushered out of the building. The suspect was armed with at least 2 assault-type rifles and a handgun. At least 2 of those weapons were purchased legally, investigators said. I want to take a moment to go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and start. Okay? These guns were not purchased legally. Okay? These guns were purchased illegally. Thank you for hearing me out. Let me give you my reason why. So, a logical argument starts with this is a statement, this is the information I have to back it up. And then the person that argues back will go, you're wrong, and this is why you're wrong. So, I'm sure I'm going to get things in the comments. That's fine. But the reason these were illegal purchases is she had a map of the school planned out. That takes a while, because if you've ever remembered going to an elementary school and then growing up, do you really remember every nook and cranny? Do you really remember every single entrance? Do you really know that they haven't changed something, or secured something, or boarded up something, or bricked up something? She checked the school out. She'd been there recently. She drew the map and the other places that she wanted to shoot up, and plotted this for weeks, if not months. She purchased these guns within this year. At some point while she was buying these guns, she was plotting this. She was angry. She was mad. She wanted revenge. She planned to take it. I believe there's some really bad publicity going around for transgender people right now. Because there was a it's on the news and you can see it everywhere. And this is skpop.com showing the shirt. But it is a shirt that you can see right here. AR-15, old-fashioned Grand Thumb, AK-47, old over-under shotgun. Now, what am I getting at here? They had just had this stuff going on in Nashville. There was political things that had happened in Nashville. And the right wings like their guns. And the left wing likes their sex. And at some point, it became bluntly obvious to this person that they were going to do this by force. And to do so, they needed guns. Well, when you're purchasing a firearm, they ask you, are you a fugitive of justice? At least they do in North Carolina. And I'm fairly certain it's a open shut purchase question. You have to say yes or no. And a fugitive of justice could be understood many ways. But if you look at the question and tell yourself with common sense, am I against justice? And you say no, knowing damn well you're going to do injustice. You're going to hurt people. You're going to harm people. You're lying on a gun application. Just like Hunter Biden snorting crack, doing cocaine, bringing in all that blow up his nose with his prostitutes, and while being an addict, buying a handgun, which it asks you if you're a unlawful user of drugs. It's a felony. Why he's not in jail? He has money. His dad's the president. Doesn't matter. No one cares, apparently. But this girl lied on the paperwork. It asks if you have any health issues, mental disorders, depression. No. No, I'm good. I just want to kill somebody and keep going, right? So she lies. Felony. That's at least two. The paper is very thorough. And I feel the need to try to pull it up So I'm going to try. But I can't guarantee that I can. Let's just see if I can. Papers to buy a gun in Tennessee. Well, the first one is eligibility requirements. Okay. Yes, these are the things they ask you in order to know that you meet the requirements. And this is from tn.gov, Tennessee.gov. Must not have a felony conviction, not currently under indictment for a felony. Well, that was easy enough if you haven't done anything wrong before. Must not have a charge pending for domestic crime and never been convicted of domestic violence. Pretty easy when you haven't done anything wrong yet. Must not be a fugitive from justice. Now, I know logically someone's going to get up with their lawyer talk and go, that means, are you on the run? That's not what it asks, though. It doesn't say, are you on the run? It doesn't say, are cops looking for you? It says, are you a fugitive of justice? Do you hide from justice? Are you a bad person? Must have not been discharged from the armed forces under dishonorable conditions. Must not be an illegal immigrant. Has not renounced their United States citizenship. And a lot of people have been doing that. Those people should not be allowed to have guns. You go out and purchase one now, you're lying on your application. Not a unlawful user or addict to alcohol or any other controlled substance or controlled substance analog. If she's been smoking weed and it's not legal there, she committed a felony there. If she drinks too much, she committed a felony. Not a patient in a rehabilitation program and have not been hospitalized for alcohol, controlled substance analogs for 10 years. Must not have had 2 convictions of DUIs, not currently under the jurisdiction of the court for USDI or misdemeanor, has not been adjudicated as mental defective, committed, or hospitalized in a mental institution. I can go further. Has not had a court appointed conservator by reason of mental defect, has not been judicially determined to be disabled by reason of mental illness, has not been found by a court to pose an immediate substantial likelihood. Now, I mean, you can come read these yourself, but it literally says hasn't been hospitalized. She was receiving active treatments and had been hospitalized for dealing with this transgender stuff. She was speaking to therapists, she was speaking to psychologists, she was speaking to doctors. So, all of these things that are asking about your mental state, I don't want to hear how I'm hateful and racist and bigoted and everything else because transgender is a mental illness. But it is. If it's not for your brain, all of this is okay. It is up to you up here to decide you're not happy with what you have. Therefore, because they can't fix up here, they fix here. That is a mental disorder. And it's okay for it to be a mental disorder. It's okay to have a sickness. It's okay not to be in control of it. But, and you know it, and you know you're dealing with depression and violence and anger and rage and transgenderism and mental disorders, and you're seeking treatments and you're going to therapists. You can't sign these papers with a clear conscience and not be lying. Now let's see here. Hmm. I just typed, just pressed some buttons, but things don't seem to be, doesn't seem to be anything extra here. So I'm going to put this down. But what I'm saying is these gun purchases, they fell through cracks, but they were acts of violence. The gun purchases were not innocent gun purchases that became dangerous. These were a bad person doing a bad thing. They got around the background check. They lied to the questionnaire. They smiled to the face of the person selling them the gun. And they lied, 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 lied. Because criminals lie. Criminals break laws. Criminals go behind the back of the good guy. Criminals do what they want to do. They're done playing by the rules. They don't care, and they're not doing it anymore. And when she decided she was going to shoot up a school because she is not a he, that's what she did. She became a fugitive from justice, a bad person. She went off the rails, and she decided to commit very bad crimes, including the purchasing of these guns, which people keep saying was legal purchases to support the idea that you and me can't own guns. I'm going to do something I feel like I'm going to regret. But here is one of the assault weapons that the shooter had. Look familiar? Not yet? Okay. Look familiar? The shooter had a Kel-Tec Sub 2000. It is what's called a pistol caliber carbine. Some people call it a pocket caliber carbine because you can keep the bullets in your pocket. It's no big deal. Doesn't matter what people call it, doesn't matter what you call it. This is a handgun caliber carbine rifle. 16-inch barrel. Pistol grip. Folds for carrying. And something that people are grievously overlooking is the wonderful layer of water-resistant material that this has to prevent it from rusting under camping circumstances and kayaking and canoeing. This is, in fact, without any disregard, a sportsman's gun. But I digress. After locking that up, I feel the need to say that gun has been in my possession for 8 years now, and I have not hurt a damn person with it. I was attacked in my own home, and I did not shoot anyone with that gun. Ever. But it's an assault rifle. Nope. Not at all. Do not feel like, because it's been labeled that way, that it is an assault rifle. The bullets that came out of that are 9mm. Do you want to know what a 9mm is roughly worth? 9mm is roughly worth about 3 of these. You know what else is that big? A screwdriver tip. It's about 3 of those. and the bullet is just the piece on the end. You want a 9 mil bullet? The 9 mil bullet. Really small. It's not worth arguing about. It is not the worst caliber. It is not the most dangerous caliber. It is approximately 2 calibers from being no caliber. Although this person had no understanding of guns, and although the media has no understanding of guns, no respect for guns, and although this person did a vile bad thing, the gun did not do this. Anger and hate and rage did this. And people need to understand a few things. The gun, though purchased legally, was not purchased legally. You can't make any better a background check. They had a background check. For those of you who want to say, well, a universal background check is the exact same background check. It's just that she would have had to have it 5 times or 7 times or 30 times instead of the one time for all 5 guns at the same day. The big difference between universal background checks and regular background checks we already give is the fact that when I walk up to a gun selling person and I say I want that one, and that one, they can do one background check right then and go, well, he's good, and they give me 3 guns. But a universal background check, every time they ring up a gun, any kind of gun, I have to have a background check because it covers all guns, and each gun gets a background check. So they run it, they go, oh, thanks, he's in the clear. They hang up, they call back, hey, we need a background check. Yeah, same guy. They insert the numbers again. Thanks, he's in the clear. Pick it up again. Yeah, universal background check. Run his numbers again. Has he committed a crime in the last 10 seconds? He's in the clear. Does not do anything that you think it does. Okay? But people are worried, me included, that with the use of the word universal and background check together, that the bills to pass this include a record of who has guns. And that would be publicly available. So if I could not get a gun and I went to this public registry, I could see who had a gun, how close they lived, and where they keep it. And with this information, I could break into their home and take their gun, because officially I was a criminal. Granted, I am not a criminal. I have not done these bad things, and I'm not planning to. I am not a fugitive of justice. I am a good guy, 2A loving, regular red-blooded American, normal straight white male, and I'm a father. And I aim to keep my kids safe. My kids safe. At this point, I don't really care about what everyone does with their children, but these schools involve my children. That makes it my responsibility to stand up and try to educate people on what's going on. So let's dive a little further. So she technically created felonies, lied on her gun background check things, and got guns illegally, not legally, in which the system failed you. It failed you horribly because there's nothing you can do about criminals. Now that we've understood that, let's keep looking at tabs. See if this next one will load up. ABC News again. Oh, it's the same one. I'm sorry. Let's go to CNN just to keep things fair. Okay. Covenant school shooter was under care for emotional disorder and hid guns at home, police say. This was by Eric Levinson, Melissa Alonzo, through CNN. Now, it looks like it comes with video footage, and I believe it. And it's not needed here. The point is, it includes in here that the parents felt Hale should not own weapons. But they didn't do a good job at making sure the government knew this. On Monday morning, Hale left home with a red bag. The parents asked what was inside, but were dismissed. 3 of the weapons were used on the attack Monday. 7 weapons were purchased. Police and Police also said Tuesday they did not know a motive. The shooter targeted the school and church in the attack, but did not specifically target 6 people. Hale's writings mentioned a mall near the school as another possible target. Now, here's the thing. It's wonderful. It is wonderful that people care to be so nice to a shooter as to not offend them. These people are using the he/him pronouns that she wanted. These people are saying that they didn't know of a motive after there was this trans rights or else stuff going on in that area. After the anger and rage set in about transgenders and the paperwork being pushed through in the courts that was not very positive for these transgenders. Now, I'm not going to consider myself an ally. I'm not against anybody, but I'm not an ally because people have talked down to me awfully hateful, and I've changed my mind. I'm not going to be that loyal friend that eats your shit after you yell at me and cuss at me and fuss at me for things when I'm simply trying to help. So I am not going to call myself an ally anymore because they did that. They pushed me away. They did that. But that being said, they say that they didn't have a motive. So even if they weren't there to shoot the Christians whose God said that being transgender was wrong, even if that wasn't the thing that was happening here, it shows information here about how the school had 200 students in pre-K through 6th grade. What did these pre-K to 6th grade students have to do with her? She was just angry. She wanted to hurt somebody. She was making a point towards the Christian God. She was doing the or else. She was acting out and had problems. Let's see. Hale left writings pertaining to the shooting and had scouted a second possible attack location in Nashville, but because of a threat assessment by the suspect, there's too much security, decided not to, Drake said on Monday. The shooter left behind drawn-out maps of the school detailing how this all was going to take place. The writings revealed the attack at the Christian school was calculated and planned. The shooter was someone with multiple rounds of ammunition, prepared for confrontation with law enforcement, prepared to do more harm than was actually done. 3 weapons, an AR-15, a Kel-Tec Sub-2000, and a handgun, of course they can't mention the brand, were found at the school. He said a search warrant executed at Hale's home led to the seizure of a sawed-off shotgun, a second shotgun, and other evidence. They found a lot of documents. This was clearly planned, Mary Cooper said, and there was lots of ammunition. There were guns. Now, a sawed-off shotgun, that's a felony. Police have referred to Hale as a female shooter, and at an evening news conference added Hale was transgender. Hale used male pronouns on a social media profile, and a spokesperson told CNN when asked to clarify. She graduated from a college of art design and had worked as a freelance designer. And I don't know if many people understand this, but freelance art designers typically don't make but so much money, especially if they're living at home with their parents and covering hospitalization and psychiatric treatments and therapies and doctor sessions. So, where did all this money come from? Well, it's not for me to know, but definitely saving that money up. Every bit of it here and there when they could get it to make these purchases. Every bit of it planned. Every bit of it hateful. Every bit of it the or else. Now, there is some footage here, and it's just more normal footage of what happened. And I don't really feel that I need to read all of this, but it is CNN.com. And you can read more. It includes the father of 7 children and all of this. Go open to the next tab that I have open. Los Angeles Times, or LATimes.com. Nashville shooter who was under doctor's care used 3 guns. Now, this just brings up more information of the same information about the shooter using guns. Now, it shows that the parents didn't know anything about it. It shows that the parents had felt that she shouldn't own weapons, and yet no one seemed to know this, and they fell right through the crack. If it had been reported that the shooter was suicidal or was going to kill someone, had that been made known to us, we would have tried to get those weapons, Drake said. He did not explain what that would entail or how that might work legally. But on the biggest issue here, though, is if it had been reported that Hale was suicidal or was going to kill someone, had that been made known to them, they would have tried to get these weapons. Your doctor information should probably already be available. Let's see if I can get out of this pop-up. Okay. It does have a law that prohibits gun possession by people who have been involuntarily committed or are found to be a danger to themselves or others. That is a quote from the director of the Department of Medicine, Health, and Society at Vanderbilt University and an expert on gun violence and mental illness. Police used female pronouns to refer to the attacker, whom they thought was transgender. A public affairs officer with the Metro Nashville Police Department said the attacker was assigned female at birth, but the agency was also aware of the male pronouns, once again trying to be soft, trying to be nice. Let's see. The entire incident lasted about 14 minutes from the first call to officers engaging. Now, notice when you read this at the Nashville, Los Angeles Times paper showing the Nashville, it says the entire incident lasted about 14 minutes. The first call to police officers engaging the shooter. That's the first call. That's when they were able to get to a phone. Okay? So it took longer than that. And when you don't have a gun yourself, you are waiting. And it is a bingo game in which the balls go around in the cage, and the ball that falls out might be yours. And when that ball is picked up in red and it's your name, you're gone. Those minutes were dangerous. Let's see, it shows that they had the kids in lockdown. It shows that uh, it's quoting people talking about people shooting in through windows, but it doesn't say much about what that is. I'm just trying to read things quickly. There was volley of gunfire. Officers dashed to the second floor. They met additional officers. Pops of gunfire grew louder as police officers rushed towards the noise. Uh, Now, additionally, the guns weren't just purchased with money that was being scrounged up. Photos reveal Nashville shooters' guns personalized with stickers. Now, this is by a Marusha Musafar at a independentco.uk. Now, I don't see the picture in which the gun was personalized. Oh, is this it loading? I'm waiting for it to load. It says police released photos of the Nashville school shooter's personalized weapons. Well, let's give it a minute to load. Or not. Okay. The picture doesn't want to open, so let's go to Apple. Let's see. Nashville shooters personalized weapons. I'm going to look up the image. Yep. I mean, I gotta admit, I'm not surprised. The the images that I'm seeing don't look that special. For those of you that haven't looked it up somewhere else, it just looks like a lightning bolt coming out of a star and a cloud in the background. And it looks like it's mirrored. Nothing that amazing to it. Doesn't look like it's hateful. Doesn't look like it's not nice either. Just because you have a sticker on your gun, you're automatically evil now. I don't I don't see anything showing anything else, so I could be wrong. I could be very wrong, but I don't see anything else. So, the stickers don't mean much of anything, but they had stickers. And that's all of the tabs that I have open. But here's something to consider. Even a revolver only allows for a certain number of bullets. Let's say you have a 4-cylinder revolver. Four, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. It's that easy. Even if they restrict the number each one can have, which effectively makes them smaller, you can buy more. There's no serial numbers. There's nowhere to put a serial number. So don't even get the idea. There's nowhere to put a serial number on each and every thing made of metal. And as long as you can buy more, or buy another gun with another one, you can carry as many 3-round magazines as it takes to kill 6 people. This is a pistol caliber carbine. Trigger, finger rest. Hand's not on the trigger. No different than the Kel-Tec Sub 2000. Even though it's a revolver, and I don't have magazines, there's no magazines, I can change out the cylinders for as many bullets as I need. That quick. I cannot stress enough how the fear of a magazine is shit. The fear of the bullets is shit. The fear of the caliber is shit. If there were people in this gun-free zone that had guns, it wouldn't have taken the police 14 minutes from the first call to get there with guns. If somebody, anybody, had a gun, they could have shot her before she shot anyone. She had already shot the glass door. That was your warning. But you needed to pull your gun out and defend the children. But nobody did. Nobody defended these children. The police had to show up and intervene in something that they didn't understand, they were not there for, and they were blindsided with. They showed up and did a spectacular job, but they were 14 minutes late. They should have been there before that call was placed. And had this been a mall with a security guard around, there would have been hope. But even in the security guard situation, that's still theory. You see, there was a mall, and it was attacked. A guy started shooting off rounds. And you know who saved the day? It wasn't a cop. It was a guy on a date with his girlfriend that had a gun in his side. And you know what? The gun, he shouldn't have had it. Malls are no-gun zones. Pretty much every one of them. That particular mall was a no-gun zone. And he had his gun. It's not a crime. But they could have asked him to leave if they knew he had it. Bet you they're glad they didn't ask him to leave. I know people are saying that teachers don't want to carry guns. There's teachers that do want to carry guns. I know people are joking about teachers that get mad to shoot their students. If they're level-headed, they're not going to. I get mad every once in a while. Never hurt anyone. Yeah, never hurt anyone. Not a fly. I'm a good guy. But against all better judgment, I'm going to push forward and say that I can be a bad guy. And that is what means I have restraint. And restraint is what you need to be a good person. Being defenseless doesn't make you inherently good. Being defenseless makes you pathetic and weak. Having the ability to stand up and do what's right gives you the ability to be dangerous. And the police showed up and used their dangerousness on the attacker, the active shooter of this school. This is an MK1 bullpup semi-automatic, high-powered. I don't really have a name for it. It's just a scary military-style shotgun. It does take magazines. The magazines are limited to 5. You only get 5. If the shooter had had this, they'd have been no better off. What does that mean? It means that there's no point in saying that the magazines were too big. There's no point in saying that the guns were too scary. There's no point in saying that the color of the guns or the stickers or the shape of the guns made them more dangerous. None of that made her more dangerous. What made her dangerous, she was mentally ill. She didn't like the way she was being treated. She went to these things about trans rights or else. And she took the or else very seriously. She started plotting things and was not noticed. She started plotting things, and her medical doctors and therapists who truly wanted to help her with her transgender situation chose that the transgender is not a problem. The situation is not an issue. The depression is not a problem. There's nothing to be worried about. Your parents being concerned because they're religious, boulder dash. Everything's going to be fine. Was it fine? Was it fine? Can you, as a therapist, can you, as a doctor, can you, as a mental health specialist that has spoken with this girl, can you tell yourself in good consciousness that she was not going to nor ever hurt anybody? You can't. But why didn't you say anything to anybody? Because you were scared that it would offend people. You were scared that it would hurt the stigma around transgender. You chose human lives to be less important than your transgender fad, your transgender lifestyle, your transgender money pit, where you're sitting in your office waiting for these people to come into your office and bitch and moan and groan and complain and have needs and wants and urges. And you sit there and listen to all this crap and get your money and don't do a damn thing to truly help them. It's time some people realize the body that you have is the body that you have. You can cut it off. You can add things on. You can do almost anything that you want with it. Almost. To a quarter worth of almost. But you're not God. No one is. You can't change the hand that you've been dealt. And if you're dealing with depression, cutting your arm off is not going to make you happier. If you're dealing with depression, taking tons of medication, it's not going to make you happier. But if you're taking medication and you identify as something, there's nothing wrong with people knowing it, telling people. If there is a white man, church-going man, dealing with depression, and he's on anti-depression medication, people should know, people in the government should know he is actively on it, has been on it, is paying for it, is getting it and taking it. And him trying to buy a gun should put up a flag. And if he did, for any reason, lie on the paperwork, he should go to jail. And it's that simple. And that does not prevent people from buying a gun for bad deeds. That is not a better system, but that is actively enforcing the laws we already have. The problem in Kinley, North Carolina, with cocaine and crack and heroin and meth and the prostitutes, is not that these things are legal. is that no one's enforcing it. But I'll get off my soapbox and I'll upload this, and the few people that give a damn will listen to some of it, get tired, and then log off of YouTube. And this comment, this strain, will be completely forgotten. So I guess this was pointless. But for the people who died, the people that were in the school, and they have no words for what's going on, they have nobody to defend them, and for the people that live around that are terrified to lose their right to defend themselves, are sitting around scared, maybe somebody that sees this can feel just a little bit braver about the guns don't hurt people. People hurt people. Kel-Tec Sub-2000s have been out for a long time. Mine's never hurting anybody. You buy one and you put it on a shelf and you leave it the fuck alone, it won't move. Have a great night, people.